All right, and that is Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender, who was before the Madlanga Commission, just taking the commission through his statement. And of course, quite critical when it comes to his evidence and what the commission is seeking to get to the bottom of here. You would have heard that stream of focus into the KwaZulu-Natal operations as far as the allegations of extrajudicial killings were concerned, and then some of the claims of hit squads, claims of the involvement of police hit squads, as well as suspicions of cash transactions, and also some suspicious activities, allegations they're being made when it comes to some of the police units there, and a man who was placed squarely at the center of the scene where Bevon Loftus was killed. And this is where there were a lot of concerns about the police operations and how things were done in this particular operation and who was in fact in charge of this particular scene. So you would have heard him there, just trying to speak about who was in control of this particular scene, because it is going to be quite important in greater detail to say that who would have given the order to do what, and when police then, came in, what is said to have happened there, especially because the facts are quite disputed about what happened at that particular scene. You would have seen some of the pictures that really paint a picture of some conflicting statements as to what would have taken place there. He says he was not in charge of this particular scene, but it was the local police officers who were in charge of that scene, and he would have simply followed instructions. But, if you listened to just some of what has been said right now, it does give an indication that the commissioners are going to probe him in greater detail when it comes to this particular statement and whether or not he was trying to, just remove any responsibility from his own shoulders. Canny Maphanga has been tracking this story for us and joins us live now. Canny, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. Quite a critical witness who we expect to hear back from on the 31st of August to come and finish up then his own testimony. But he's quite key, given what would have taken place when Bevon Loftess was killed, the allegations that would have been made there, but also his own role that he would have alleged then to have played. And it seems that he says he may not have been in charge of that particular scene, and also claims that he's a man who was unfairly targeted.
Well, absolutely, Bonge. What the viewers just saw was the testimony of Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender of the KZN Hawks. If you're still joining us, or rather just joining us with respect to the Madlanga Day 164 proceedings, this is effectively testimony that relates to what IPID and KZN through Len John put before the probe with respect to police shootings in KZN, or what we call allegations of extrajudicial killings, where he highlighted several instances and where he alleges that certain members of the South African Police Services in KZN approach certain scenes with the intention to allegedly kill the suspects, not in order to give effect to an arrest or to investigate the matter. And one of the instances that he highlighted before the Madlanga Commission was this case of Bevan Loftus, an alleged gang and tow truck gang leader in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. And of course, he alleges there that the cash and transit task team, which he says was not regular, so it wasn't authorized, allegedly pounced on this particular home in Morningside, where Bevan Loftus was there with 4 others. And of course, they claimed that there was a shootout that took place. But what Len John alleged is that this was something allegedly more sinister, where he alleged that those task team members under the command of Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender went there deliberately with the intention to allegedly kill Bevon Loftess because of something he describes as the alleged rival, that is Clive Naika allegedly commissioning Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender and paying him about 2.3 million allegedly for this act to be performed. Now, the issues of the links is what is still in the air, because although there were bank transactions about a significant amount of money in Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender's accounts or his wife's accounts, there isn't any tangible evidence before the probe that links the incident of Bevon Loftess with those particular funds. So that's something that still remains in the air, and we expect that when he returns to speak about Clive Naicker, there's a possibility he may actually do so on the 31st in camera, because we do know that a notice has since been sent out that he seeks to testify about certain individuals that he's alleged to be in proximity with, and he wants to do so behind closed doors because of the sensitivities that come out with that. And I think that application will be released to the media in the next few minutes. There's also other additional layers, Bongiwe, to his evidence, which is actually quite important in terms of the overall allegations surrounding KZN. Now, in terms of this allegation of alleged extrajudicial killings in the KZN province, he basically testifies under oath that allegedly he was being targeted by IPID and KZN because there is some form of alleged mounting pressure for him to throw the KZN top cop, that is Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan, under the bus over this particular issue in the KwaZulu-Natal province. And what he does is he brings this recording to the commission of a person by the name of Mavuso, and in that recording it's quite crystal clear. You see them talking about this particular issue and how he's going to go down alone and how he needs to not go down alone, and mention these top cops. I think Major General Sonono is also mentioned in that audio recording that has been played before the commission. And the overall allegation there is that there was pressure for Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender to throw Lieutenant-General Deenadayalan under the bus in this regard. And we do see that it goes even further in his statement, where he alleges that this particular call was followed by a meeting as recently as this week, where he says that there was something about a call between the two individuals to the police minister, Senzo Mchunu, where he alleges that he recognized his voice and that Mchunu told him to go to the commission and say that he did everything allegedly under the instruction of Mkhwanazi. And the implication there was to place the blame at the KZN top cop's hands and say that all of these actions were allegedly as a result of his instructions. So very serious allegations. Another layer being added with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu being added to the list here. This is yet another theme where his name comes up. We also saw his name come up in the IDAC stream, and certainly when he returns, there's more allegations for him to answer to, because this particular probe is born out of that disbandment directive that then leads to that July media briefing. And then, of course, the president placing him on suspension, awaiting for that particular final report of the Madlanga Commission on whether or not Police Minister Senzo Mchunu will be cleared on all these allegations that continue to mount against him before the Madlanga Commission. And this is now a different theme where you're hearing the name of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu coming up, and this time it's dealing with allegations of extrajudicial killings, but it speaks to the allegations of subfactional battles, because what is being alleged by this particular witness is that he was supposed to come here and allegedly throw Lieutenant General Deenadayalan under the bus. Whether that particular allegation will stand or not is something that's possibly going to be ventilated further as the recording, I understand, goes on even further, but the evidence leaders chose to stop it at that particular point, and we understand that in the next appearance there will be certainly other details to go through in terms of things that just happened recently, just shy of the revelations of IPID and KZN, and of course his subsequent testimony. And he does in some small detail also address the kind of conduct of the officers at that apartment where Bevon Loftess died, and he's pretty much is defending the conduct, because we do know that at some point he is there as a responder after all of those suspects allegedly die in the apartment where the father, Gregory Loftus, alleges that the intention was to go there and kill Bevon Loftess, and that it was commissioned and it was done so allegedly by a rival gang leader. So certainly this particular evidence is not complete yet. He must still explain where all that money in his bank accounts comes from, Where is it emanating from, and how can he explain these transactions when it was stated under oath what his income was at the time and how it doesn't match up with the kind of money flows and the assets that were purchased during that period, which is quite close to the death of Bevon Loftess, and of course that phone call which he makes to Clive Naka where he mentions the name of Lieutenant-Colonel Deenadayalan Govender. Certainly a lot to unpack as the Commission continues with its work on Monday at 9:30 a.m. and we're expecting alleged cartel member Vusumuzi Madlanga to come back with a substantiation as to why he is invoking his rights against self-incrimination on a number of issues that he has to answer to, and what will his supplementary statement say about the allegations that he faces before the probe. Find out on Monday at 9:30 a.m. when he returns to the stand.
Canny Maphanga live there for us at the Madlanga Commission as it wraps up for the week. And we did, of course, hear even from Fadil Adams earlier on in the day. So Kenny will be back with us on Monday morning and also over the weekend to bring us just a wrap of what would have come out from the Commission.